Hi everyone, Flame Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are going to be continuing our AFL 2022 3-game match reviews. Yes, here we are for another massive 3 games of round 21 of the 2022 AFL season. These are the middle 3 games of round 21 and I'll tell you, these games had massive impacts on the top 8 and how the top 4 will be shaping up by the end of the year. And the races for top 4 and top 8 as well are heating up, so it's going to be really exciting to see how these end up going, and all 3 of these games had a massive effect on how it'll end up playing out. Teams like Fremantle, Geelong looking for top 4, the Cats looking for the minor premiership, the Bulldogs, the Saints and the Tigers are all teams contending for the top 8. Port Adelaide on their home turf. So the games that we'll be reviewing are Western Bulldogs versus Fremantle, Geelong vs St Kilda, Port Adelaide versus Richmond, Dockers, Marvel Stadium. So, Marvel Stadium, Saturday twilight game, Western Bulldogs 11-12-78, lose to the Dockers 14-11-95. Western Bulldogs, this was their last part of a challenging run home, but they have the Giants next week at Marvel, followed by the Hawks. In 2 games they could easily win, but top 8 spots are becoming very limited now, and they have to really fight for it. Fremantle back into contention for the top 4, but the Western Bulldogs, they've been like this a fair lot this year, but they haven't been looking to defend, and Fremantle found it too easy, and they led for most of the game and managed to pull off a brilliant win, and they play Marvel Stadium well. And I did have a quick little look at the stats in yesterday's 3-game match where we was going to go ahead, check out the halftime stats of these games. Go ahead, do so. But, yeah, from there on, it was always just pretty much like a goal-for-goal really thing. From half-time, it was pretty much it just hovered around the same sort of margin. But for the Dockers, this is really big. That they're getting back in form. They needed this win really badly, just to show they can still win and everything like that. And they did exactly that. They're going to go back in the race for the top 4, but they just found this game too easy. Western Bulldogs, as I said before, aren't great defensively, and Fremantle found way too many easy entries, easy marks, everything like that. Josh Dunkley, 33 disposals, 4 goals for lob. 151 fantasy for Ryan, 8 tackles for Brayshaw. But yeah, in almost a sense, this game was too easy for the Dockers. And I think the Doggies, they were really good against Melbourne a couple of weeks ago at this ground. They played really well, but they scored 110, but they still leaked 100. But yeah, this week was a very poor performance, and finals for them are almost gone, really. They have to win the last 2 games and have to make sure Richmond don't win another game, which is going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see. And then they've got to rely on St Kilda. They can win another game, but the Doggies have to win their last 2 games. So it's going to be very tough for them now to make the top 8 for the Western Bulldogs. They do have an easy run home, but can't take the Giants and Hawks for granted, especially not the Hawks at UTAS. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But 151 fantasy for Ryan, 111 for Clark, 110 for Smith, 109 for Dunkley, 109 for Brayshaw, 101 for McRae, and Liberatore, 100 for English. Goals behinds, 4 for Lob, 3 for Waitman and Norton, as well as Frederick, 2 for Taberner. Disposals, 33 for Dunkley, 32 for Ryan, 30 for Bailey Smith, and then 29 for McRae, 28 for Liberatore, 26 for Clark. Now to the marks we go. 15 for Ryan, 11 for Chapman, 10 for Clark, 9 for Cox, 8 for Darcy, who was very impressive on debut for the Western Bulldogs with Sam Darcy, 8 for Logue and Taberner as well. Tackles now, 8 for Brayshaw, 7 for Brodie, 5 for McNeil Smith, Liberatore. Hitouts, 30 for Darcy, 20 for English, 12 for Logue, 2 for Bruce and Norton. So now to the team stats we go. These stats were looking shocking at half-time. But, yeah, inside 50s, the Doggies actually won it by 5. But the Dockers were efficient going inside 50 for sure. Let's see. They won the hit-outs. They won the clearances as well. But they smashed the Dogs in uncontested footy. And as I said before, they were getting easy. They were just making their way up the ground with ease. They were switching the ball as well, getting stacks of marks, 90 to 140. They got +9 inside 50. So they were a lot better, and they were finding avenues really easily inside 50 and just around the grounds. And as I said before, and a lot of people said, not just me, the Doggies aren't great defensively. And anything else? Not really, but it was a really good game for the Dockers, who are now back into top 4 contention. They needed this win. They pulled it off. And for the Western Bulldogs, I think their luck has just run out this year. They've been a very lucky side to still be in the race. They've had some very disappointing performances this year. Some really good performances, though, as well. But, yeah, it is going to get tough. They do have an easy run home. But, yes, for the Western Bulldogs, not their greatest performance. Now to Kardinia Park or GMHBA Stadium we go, where it was another stellar performance from the Cats. They've done it 2 weeks in a row at that ground. Geelong 17-8, 110, smashed the Saints 10-5, 65, and the Saints' luck has run out. They have 2 very tough games, Brisbane and Sydney, both at Marvel, but 2 very tough games to come, do St Kilda. And I just feel like, they've already had plenty of luck this year for them, so I think their luck has run out, and their season ends here. They are now outside the top 8, but it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of the season goes, whether they're going to fight or whether they'll fizzle out and give handy percentage over to Brisbane and Sydney, as that part of the race is heating up as well. But it was the Cats from the start. You knew they were going to be the better of the side. Had a really good first quarter. In the second quarter, dropped off a little bit, allowed the Saints back into the game. But as they did against the Western Bulldogs last week, had a fantastic third quarter. The Cats are having third quarter blitzes now. It was Fremantle that did it at the start of the year. Now they're doing it. And again, the game was over at 3/4 time, just like versus Western Bulldogs game. It was a very similar kind of game. And then the last quarter, they just finished off the deal. Again, way too easy for the Cats. They had Dangerfield out. They had Stanley. Was it Stanley out and Segler, or was it Blitzarves and Segler? They had 3 pretty decent players out the side, but they still play so well. They are the best team in the league by far right now. Because of Melbourne and Collingwood's result on Friday night, they are the best side in the league by a bit. That, I reckon, compared to where the rest of the teams are at this year, I think the Cats have really put themselves as clear premiership favourites, and they should win the minor premiership with a pretty good run home. Suns at Metricon, and then the Eagles at GMHBA. But as I said, the Saints, Lions and Swans is what's to come for them. 2 teams in the race for the top 4. Very tough run home for the Saints, and you probably don't think they'll be able to get another result, which will see their season over. Brad Crouch, 28 disposals, 3 goals for Hawkins, 123 fantasy for Crouch, 11 tackles for Crouch. Brad Crouch did it all. 123 for Crouch, 118 fantasy for Marshall, 104 for Guthrie, 103 for Hill, 102 for Wood, 100 for Smith. Goals behinds, 3 for Hawkins and Smith, 2 for Cameron and Stengel. Those are some of their best players, like Hawkins, Smith, Cameron, Stengel. Really good forward line, like Stengel's very dangerous whenever he goes near the ball. 2 for Higgins and Membry as well. But a lot of the Cats, they're just a really good, complete side. 28 disposals for Crouch, 26 for Hill, 25 for Parfitt, Menegola, 24 for Holmes. Now marks, 11 for Duncan, 10 for Buse and Wood, 9 for Patton and Membry, 8 for Guthrie, Hill. Tackles, 11 for Crouch, 7 for Atkins, Stanley, Guthrie, Still. So it would have been Blitzarves and Segler that went out. And, and Dangerfield as well. So 3 big outs for the Cats, you could say, and they still did a very good performance. They have plenty of players ready to go regardless, so that they're a really good balanced side. 37 hit-outs for Marshall, 22 for Stanley, 5 for Henry, 4 for Hawkins, 2 for Sharman, Membry, and 1 for King. Now to the team stats we go, where the Cats went inside 50 only 5 more times than the Saints, but they were good. They were very good when they went inside 50, where the Cats, such a dangerous forward line and just such a strong side. Hard to beat, especially at Kardinia Park. The Saints actually won clearances, but the Cats, again, just very balanced all over the field, so they know how to win the ball back. And nothing else looking amazing. They took more marks inside 50, and they led for most of the game. Were definitely deserving winners, though, in the end, were the Cats. They are the best team in the competition for me by a fair bit, right? Well, not by a fair bit, but by by a good chunk of something. Like they're the best team in the comp right now for me. Now to the second Saturday night game Port Adelaide 10-11, 71, could not do against Richmond 16-13, 109. And you just about think now, they've booked themselves a final spot. Hawthorn and Essendon to come. I think they're in. That regardless, I think they're in now. And they can go ahead and overtake Carlton, who are in 7th spot, with a run home of Brisbane, Melbourne and Collingwood. So I think Richmond, book them in for the 7th spot right now. I think they have what it takes. I think this is going to be a real threat come finals time. They did it on territory that they did not know. Well, I mean, they know the Adelaide Oval, but they did it on not their home territory. They are damaging on the MCG, but they showed they were very damaging. Port didn't even come to play, and it was just the third quarter where they kicked 7 goals to say goodbye to the Power. It was a really good and interesting first half. However, the Power were lucky to be in it because Richmond were just so strong. Their pressure, the inside 50s, they were smashing them and everything. So I think for the Power, they were lucky to be in this game to half time. And boy, oh boy, were they lucky not to have lost this game by 50 points or even more, because they lost by 38 in the end, which was a bit of a smashing. But, well, they could have lost this game by a lot more. But I'll tell you, nobody expected this. I didn't expect it. But Richmond, this is a really good performance. This is a performance that a finals team would make. And they've done it. That they've showed that they are a finals-worthy team. And as I said, Hawthorn and Essendon to come. Not a hard run home by any means. So they should get in and probably end up taking Carlton's 7th spot. Carlton aren't inked in just yet. But look, Port Adelaide, they didn't even come to play. They were lucky to be in it at quarter and half time. And then in the third quarter, the Tigers gave the Power exactly what they deserved. And that was a real smash. And then they did it in the last quarter. Kicked a few more goals. But it was a really good performance by Richmond. Bolton was really good. They've got really good players. And then Rioli off halfback. He snuck forward as well. Wines 32 disposals, 4 goals for Bolton. And Lynch, 137 fantasy for Nan Curvis, 9 tackles for Willem Drew. Now to the player stats we go. 137 AFL fantasy for Nank. 121 for Cochrane, 116 for Butters, 113 for Wines, 110 for Houston, 104 for Drew and Pressy, 103 for McIntosh, 98 for Short, 97 for Lynch. 4 goals, 5 for Bolton. He's a player that does have the capabilities of being a 6-7 goal. Like, he could have kicked 6-7 goals tonight. But he's just an absolute, like, freak. Almost kind of like Dusty in a way. He's almost got Dusty kind of vibes about him. Because he just goes forward and he's just got so much speed. He can do anything. He can twist, turn around, goal. He's the hardest player to match up on because you really can't beat him. He will always beat you pretty much. 17 disposals from Bolton as well. It was a very solid performance. 4 goals for Lynch as well. Such a dangerous player up forward. Cumberland, he's really emerged in the last couple of weeks. 2 goals, 2 for him after a bag of 5 versus Brisbane last week. 2 goals for Finlayson, Dixon, Rioli, he's got a really good boot on him, as does Short. But yeah, that was, and then everybody else got the 1 goal. 32 disposals for Wines, 32 for Pressy, 31 for Cochrane, 29 for Nan Curvis, 28 for Butters, 27 for Boak, 25 for Drew Rioli. Now to the marks we go. 7 for Baker and McIntosh, 6 for Lynch and Revolt. Tackles, 9 for Drew, 8 for Butters and Teakle, 7 for Houston McIntosh. Hit-outs now, 42 for Nan Curvis, 21 for Teakle, 10 for Miller, 6 for Dixon, 2 for 2 for Power Pepper, and Finlayson. But yeah, Nan Curvis dominated in the hit-outs. Teakle, 21, that's not too bad. Team stats, the Tigers went inside 50 way more times than the Power, 18 more times. And really, they just dominated in everything. It felt like their pressure was so good, was Richmond's as well. And they were playing like a finals team. Port Adelaide didn't really come to play. They won the clearances as well, did Richmond and the hit-outs. Had more contested footy. Took more marks inside 50. Took more contested marks. Led for most of the game and were the deserving winners. Port Adelaide, they know their season's over now. And Richmond gave them a real battering on their home turf. Very disappointing result for Port Adelaide. Brilliant one for Richmond. And you think now, well, I would say now they are in finals this year. So what is left to come? Well, North Melbourne plays Sydney in the first game on Sunday or today, sorry. And then Brisbane play Carlton. I think this one's going to be really big. I think Carlton will be looking to get the result here desperately. But after they played Adelaide last week, they will be feeling pretty bad. They got lots of injuries as well, so not going to be easy in Brisbane on the Gabba. Such a hard team to beat. They don't normally smash, but they do win. West Coast and Adelaide. Josh Kennedy's farewell game against the Adelaide Crows. Do they send him off with a win? Maybe, maybe not. The Crows, they'll always try. And now, they're just going to go ahead and have a look at the ladder, and then we're going to go ahead and have a little look at the run home from here. So the Cats are a game clear of the Pies, who are in second, a game clear of the third place Demons. The Dockers are in fourth. Now, if Sydney win, they can go up onto 56 points and back up into the top four. And if they get percentage, which they can do, they can overtake the Demons. The Demons are not a lock yet in the finals. They don't have the easiest run home either, do the Demons. And then Brisbane, if they can win, they'll be knocking on the top four door as well. Fremantle can slide back down to sixth. And then Carlton, if they lose this, I think that'll probably just about be a sign their season could just about be over. They'll have to hope that other results go their way. Richmond are half a game behind them and can overtake them if they beat Hawthorn next week. St Kilda, they're done because of their run home. It's extremely tough. I don't think they'll be able to beat either Brisbane or Sydney. Western Bulldogs, still a little bit lying on them. But you don't take the Hawks for granted at UTAS. And the Giants, well, they should probably get the job done there. But really interesting run home coming up for a couple of teams. So just going to go ahead and have a little look at what round 22 brings. So I think Saints-Lions could be a really big game. There's the Doggies playing the Giants. Suns and the Cats. And the D's and the Blues. I think this game isn't going to be great, but I think it's going to be important. You know, like the games that are important but aren't going to be great. You get what I mean? This one here, the Sunday of games should be really good. I think Richmond versus Hawthorn is probably one of the most important games of the round, believe it or not, because this is going to really tell if Richmond can make finals or not from here. And then they can overtake Carlton because Carlton have Melbourne. Sydney Collingwood, I think that's game of the round, perhaps at the SCG. And then round 23. Brisbane, Melbourne, I think that's the big game that everybody's going to be keeping their eye on. I think the Dockers do have a chance to get the top four here versus the Giants. They play the Eagles and the Giants. To the Dockers, I think the Cats should be able to take out the minor premiership. Big game here. Dons, Tigers on a Saturday night. But I think, again, the shaping does come down to these last games on the Sunday. Hawthorn versus Western Bulldogs, big game. Carlton versus Collingwood. Whether Carlton make the 8 will be down onto this game. Whether Collingwood make the top 4 will probably be down to this game. And then the Saints and the Swans is a massive game. And I think that's going to lay where Sydney's top 4 hopes are. Well, that is it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. So you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much. Bye everyone. Blaming Footy out.